Okay,
Good
okay.
day, everybody. Welcome to Canadian music in the 80s and 90s and more. I hope you like what you're seeing. If you do, please hit the subscribe and like it. Um, I've got what I must say is the most amazing duo of musicians I discovered this year. This is Campbell and Johnston, Christine Campbell, and um, I got to call you Mr. Johnston because I just love your guitar playing so much, but I know your name's Blake. Um,
Hmm.
But well, both of you were pretty intense guitar players when I saw you guys play here in Charlottetown last year. Um,
Thank you.
I was severely blown away. And I haven't been blown away like that since I first saw Matt Anderson.
Ah.
Um, and what an amazing talent he is, and you guys are, of course. Um, can we get a little history on you guys? Like you guys, how long have you guys been a duo, actually?
That's I don't know exactly because I guess our first gig together was as a band. He was kind of supporting my project because he kind of became a gun for hire.
We weren't really like a duo act. Ugh, that's
Yeah.
early. Probably until like 2019, as far as like officially a duo co-project. Um, I'd been playing like for Christine for in 2013, like on and off. Some years a little more than others, but we were doing a lot of acoustic shows they were just kind of ending up like a duo show. We were covering large time slots, so I would end up singing more just to try and share the load because when you're roughing it out trying to get any gig you can. You're doing like 4 hour time slots.
I had a lot of gigs too, and I just was like, it's hard to find somebody that you feel like you want to play music with or share the time with, but also you need the help. And then Blake came along, and I was like, perfect.
Well, it just
So
kind of seemed to start fitting that way. Like I was hey, can we do a couple more of your songs just to save my
mhm.
voice here? Like we're doing
Yeah.
6 shows this week, and four of them are 4 hour time slots, and it just kind of eventually it was just like, well, people seem to be reacting well to us trading off songs, and it just we kept doing it more, and eventually it
And
kind of
I get
felt
to like watch
silly.
you, which was cool, and like sing back up a little bit, and it was nice. I'd get a breather, and sometimes you just need a song too to kind of gather yourself on stage. So
And it just kind of turned into that. Eventually, it felt silly calling it Christine Campbell because it was like if people are showing up just expecting Chris Camp, they're who's this guy? Why is
Yeah.
he singing? You know what I mean? Like 10 songs out of this whole night. Why am I listening to this guy? So it just seemed almost like it's just a riot act. We should start putting your name in there for at least some of the shows to eliminate any surprises some people might
What
have. So.
when did you first kind of discover each other, like as musicians? Like before you started playing together, like how did you guys like meet and kind of discover each other musically?
I think it was like 2010, 2009 or 10 would have been like the first time that I was heard of Stone Mary. I thought her name was
you
Mary.
didn't
I
know me
did.
until we actually did that show, right?
No,
At
I'd
Hunters, I
seen
think it
some.
was.
I was playing in a band I played in a battle of the bands. It was actually in Wolfville at the university. And the bass player for Stone Mary at the time, Brad, oh my God,
Stevens.
Stevens, oh my God,
It's
blank
very
name.
early. It's like 4 a.m. in musician
Yeah.
hours.
And we're going back like over a decade now. So my memory is a little bit. But he was teching this event. He was the sound guy. And he liked us and he was like, hey, man, I play in a band and I play with this girl and we're called Stone Mary. And so we just, okay, cool. And then afterwards, you kind of start seeing on the Seahorse or the whatever, like Stone Mary, who are they? So we kind of started checking it out. And that's the first time I had kind of seen who I thought was Mary.
And
Um,
Brad like would get the openers a lot of times if we needed them. And you came to
well,
PEI.
yeah, it was at Hunter's. He asked us,
Oh,
would
okay.
you open a show uh, at Hunter's? So that was the very first time I think we ever.
He thought I snubbed him when we first met, which I didn't. But he thought that he introduced himself to me and then I just like snubbed him, which I've never snubbed anybody. At least not on purpose. I'm very like introverted and like in my brain and resting bee face, so sometimes it might come across perhaps, but I didn't. And then I saw him. I was kind of saying hi to all my friends and family, kind of catching up. And then suddenly he's saying like Helter Skelter and oh my God, I was like floored and I was like, I don't want to go on. So that was our first encounter and yeah.
which just gets to my, I'm going to go back even further for both of you. Your musical, your musical taste and your musical influence is all over the board, which is awesome. So what is it that made you guys as when you were young? Like, what is it that caught your ear that said, I got to do more than just listen to music. I got to play music. Like, what was the first stuff that caught your ear when you were young?
Well, 60s and 70s primarily is my influence, like records. My Uncle Elliot had a big record collection in Austin I got to pick through. And so it was kind of like having a record store a lot of times. Just every day I would take a new record out, try to get like my friends who were also like 5 or 8 or whatever, and get them into to that. And sometimes it would work, not very often. But Fleetwood Mac, the Guess Who, and eventually like Deep Purple and like Zeppelin and Queen really blew my mind. And then came like when I started playing guitar, Metallica and Guns N' Roses and Megadeth and every emotion and stage of life, you're just like a new like channel or event of an emotion that you were able to take part in. But like Stones, every old school, the stuff that wrote the book, I guess, in my opinion.
So there's no real genre you guys pick on. It's everything. Yeah, you guys are obviously influenced by everything.
Well,
Because
60s and 70s rock is like primarily my favorite, but it's very soul based, right? It's very blues based,
yeah,
which kind of I think made me more of a bluesy sounding singer. And then I had a classical piano background. I love gospel and certain things that I never really necessarily listened a ton to, but some kind of structured the way I am. And soul, really, I kind of dug into more later in life, like Sly Stone and all that kind of stuff. Once the emotions of the hardcore rock and the rage and everything kind of settled a little bit, then I was
yeah.
able to like, get a little older and take my time and check out some of the more chill, funkier vibes.
Did any of the music your parents listened to growing up take a big influence on you too? Like,
That's all it, yeah.
I was gonna say when you say like what genre, it was sort of like wow, there was like my parents' music, which when you're a kid kind of is a genre. You don't,
yeah,
like when I was at a certain point, I didn't really know what anything what like I liked Dwight Yoakam when I was a kid a lot, but I didn't really know that he was country music. I knew he looked like a cowboy, and I wanted to dress like a cowboy because of that. But I wasn't really like considering that country music would have been something different than like Janis Joplin or Joe Cocker. Like it was all just my parents' music, and if I heard something and liked it, I would want to like listen to that again. I had a little tape deck that looked like the front end of like a Chevy Bel Air or like a big Impala. Um, and when if my parents had a tape that I liked, I would rewind to the song and play it. And when the song was done, I would rewind back, kind of thing. Um, you know, it's almost weird talking about it now. Anybody that's like my age or older would understand, but like people that are younger that don't know the world without the internet or like
yeah,
the way we consume music was, I mean, it was just different in 1991.
yeah.
One of the biggest influences that has not even just music, but everything, the way I look at the world, the jokes I find that are funny is Wayne's World. I don't know when that
Yeah.
came out, but my dad he ran like a video VHS rental store. So whatever movies were coming out, like we would often get, a milk crate of movies to watch. And Wayne's World was one of those things that it just, the whole thing. I loved everything about it. When they go to look at the guitar and it's a white Olympic white
It
Stratocaster,
made me
Alice Cooper
obsessed
when
with
they
Queen after Wayne's World.
yeah,
That's what
the
I
the
became
scene
like
in the
my favorite
car.
band ever, and I for a while, and
When they go to see Alice Cooper, that was like one of the first times that, I mean, I'm sure they're sort of miming in the movie, but the guitar player, he plays a solo at one point in when they're at the concert, and you can tell he's playing the solo kind of thing. That was the first time I'd ever seen the guitar played in that way. And I think that's what it was for me from a young age, even aside from like, oh, I like that song. As soon as I saw the guitar and saw somebody playing it, it was like, that's cool. Whatever that is, it was as cool as like watching a pro wrestler that looked like seeing somebody with a guitar was like of the same thing. They just looked cool and like powerful or like
I saw a movie one time and I don't remember what it was, but it was the same type of thing where some guy was playing like a blood red guitar and it was like just like screaming metal solos and I was like, whoa, like I just was like, I want to do that. And then I remember thinking like, why are there like, almost no girls doing it? Like, how does everybody not want to do this? But growing up, I was like, why doesn't everybody like this music? How is everybody liking this music? Why aren't girls doing this more? And I was very, I didn't really fit in a lot. And, that was a little rough, but it also kind of made me kind of find refuge even more in my music, I think, which in the end is a good thing.
You're both very proficient on the guitar, which blows me away even more. Like you could match each other playing, like it just blew me away. Did there any other instruments you guys experiment with or play? Like, I mean, either on record or live?
Piano was my first instrument. That was what my mom put me in and actually named me after her classical piano playing aunt. Um, so yeah, piano was the first. I mean, I sang since forever, but I think of piano as like my second language, I guess, or at least my first language in understanding music through like theory and things like that. Or Blake, like his first language is really guitar, and so we have like some pretty different perspectives sometimes. Um, but that's. I mean, violin. I did it for a little bit.
and I mean I played bass, but like I played bass on the records, but just enough to to get done what I need to get done. I wouldn't call myself a bass player, and I certainly if I'm doing anything where I'm
Played bass on
recording
all the
bass,
recordings,
I did, but
the last two albums.
I'm also referring to things a lot. Like if I'm going for something and I'm doing some research, like I'm not shooting from the hip as a bass player. And I mean, if it's a stringed instrument, I can sort of figure out roughly what's going on, but
Right.
I'm not proficient in anything else. The guitar would be the only thing that I feel comfortable, doing the job with kind of thing.
Blake's very good at being a band leader and articulating and just translating like what we're looking for drum beats or vibes or rhythms and stuff like that. So yeah, and like a lot of times too, I'm like, oh, I was thinking of taking this up or trying this, and then suddenly like drums for the first time, you're like, yeah, you just do it like this, and then you like play this perfect drum beat, and I was like, how when?
Yeah.
He always blows my mind that way, and I'm like, never mind.
It always blows me away when I see people that can play more than one instrument well enough to be on stage and do it, let
Mm.
alone let alone just one instrument. Because I hack around with the guitar and I'm terrible, but it's fun. And I guess that's the main thing. Let's get into recording. Um, I had to pick these up when I was at your show. Is this the only two you recorded together, like as
Together.
Campbell and Johnston? Okay, this
He
would have
did.
been the
He
first.
produced he produced a portion of my roller coaster album and played a little bit on
Okay,
it. So other than that, yes. But technically, as a duo fronted, this project going forward, those are the only two.
okay. This one came out just last year.
Mhm.
And you played quite a bit off it. When I saw you in Charlottetown, you were with a full band. Well, you started out just, I think, the two of you. And then you pulled out the full band and just like I've never seen the Trailside rock like that before. It was just incredible. Like it was just I was like, how are these guys not huge? Like, and they should be, and I think you will be one day. Um, just wow, I was amazed by the influences you're playing. I'm always blown away by good musicians. Maybe that's why I'm such a big Rush fan. Uh, but um, but yeah, I'm always blown away by, you know, really tight musicians and stuff like that. And the band, obviously, it wasn't your first time playing with a lot of those guys on stage. So
Thank you.
um,
One of them it was. That's
Yeah.
when we had the horn. We for our releases in Nova Scotia. Just because this is kind of where our stomping grounds are now. We had like a horn section and everything, and they were sold out. But in PEI, like especially where a lot of people are a little bit more last minute to get tickets, we didn't want to take our horn section over. We wanted to ensure we could
right.
pay everybody. But we did have that one guy, Isaac
James.
James. Yeah, he came up like literally like an hour before sound check. We got him to come play trumpet on a few tunes, and he killed it. But other than that, the rest of the musicians are we've been playing with them for a while, and they are all incredible musicians. They have other projects and multi-talented, like you say about playing multiple instruments really well. They all do pretty much.
Those
Yeah,
are tight.
actually, more so we played with Evan McCosham too.
Oh yeah, we did take
He's
Javo. We
he's
took Evan.
PEI guy, and we've played with Evan a couple times before, but not we've never actually we've never rehearsed with Evan.
Mm.
We've every single time we played with him, I guess you could count sound check as a rehearsal, but not really. But he's just a
Oh my gosh,
fantastic
yeah.
musician. He's so good that I didn't even notice he was there. It was just
Yeah.
like he just felt like the regular cat. But that's probably the biggest compliment you can get. I think is particularly as a bass player. Like I didn't even realize you were beside me on stage. Like he just fit in so nice, and it
And it's
just felt
expensive
like
to get people over, and especially
Yeah.
we got to take our little guy over with us too. So at that show, that was the only gig I think this summer that we actually sent out a bass player to Evan, just to make it more feasible. And man, yeah, he knocked it out of the park.
mm,
There's a pretty amazing musical community among the Maritimes, it seems.
Hmm.
I'm originally from Ontario and I've been here for about 5 years. I always knew the Maritimes had some of the best talent in the country, but I mean, just locally, Nova Scotia, PEI, New Brunswick, there's quite a big musical community, and you guys seem to be quite right in the middle of it, which is great. Now, speaking of musical communities, you guys are coming over to PEI this weekend for Got Blues. And if anyone out there that doesn't know what Got Blues is, you guys want to tell us what it is?
so it's like I guess I don't know how long they've been doing it, but I'm pretty sure it's quite some time now. It's become a bit of an institution as far as
Yeah.
they've had several different venues where they do it at, but sort of like an open jam that they do. They start out with one set of where it's just the house band and say the featured artist, and then it turns into kind of a bit of a free for all for a set or two where they're just bringing up jammers from the crowd and just jamming on some standards or maybe some particular songs that somebody gets up and plays, and anybody from a drummer gets up to I've seen conga players and harp players get up, and of
Mm.
course the dreaded line of guitar players. Let's play blues and E. So it's just over here in Halifax, we have Barely's hosts of Blues and Ribs, and they do an open jam on Sunday nights. It's kind of similar to that. It's the same kind of vibe, but the Got Blues one is on a Saturday afternoon, which is much more civilized. So
Excuse to drink on a Saturday afternoon, and
yeah,
they have like such a good like community of followers that
Yeah.
just are
yeah. It's
constantly.
like
It is a
uncomfortably packed in there. Like
party
when you
every
go in there,
time.
you're like,
Yeah.
who's gonna show up on Saturday at 2 p.m. or whatever it
Mm.
is? And you walk in there and you're just like, oh
We're gonna
man, I
get
gotta go to
good.
the bathroom, and you're trying to like get through people. So they got a pretty cool little thing going on.
It's quite a following. I've been there a couple of times. I went last time to see my friend Kim Doolittle, who I'm sure you guys know very well.
I
Um,
do actually.
she blew the roof off the place, which
Mm.
doesn't surprise me. She's been playing for so long.
How do you know
Um,
Kim?
I interviewed Lori Yates a few times, and she connected me with her because she knew she was out here in the East Coast.
So
And
this would be like since you've been out here.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Well, since I started doing the YouTube stuff too, and then covering music, she said she's been making music for like 50 years, and I'm like, that intrigues me. Um,
Yeah.
and
Well,
she,
Kim was, I believe, at some point, Kim dated Jeff Healy. They were partners for a
Really?
handful of
mhm,
years. Yeah, yeah. And Kim, she's played on cruise ships for forever. I met her. She's like a relative of like a friend, an extended friend of my mother's. That
yeah,
on the weekends, my mom used to go hang at this place that they would have parties on Saturday nights. At that time, it was like a bunch of late 40, early 50-year olds partying on the weekends. Their kids were all like 17, 18. You didn't have to worry about anything. And I would kind of hang out on the same street. And at the end of the night, I would go up at like 11 or midnight and catch a ride home with mom. And Kim showed up there one time, and she was like one of the first sort of like professional musicians I had ever met.
right.
That was like, oh, you've actually paid your bills for the last 30 years off of doing this kind of thing. And so she kind of hired me for a couple just to sit in and
Oh,
play
I didn't
backup for her a
realize.
couple times, and was always super sweet. And just anytime I lost touch for years. She was doing her thing, and I was having my lost weekend for the better part of a decade. But I like either last DCMAs or the one before that was the first time I'd seen her in quite some time. So it's cool. She's a really nice lady, and yeah, a lifer. One of those people that just sink or swim. I'm a musician. I'm doing this in one form or another, and she's
That's
she's
like
kept
us. I
at it.
think both of us like I think we had that little pipe dream of like trashing hotel rooms, making it big and all that kind of thing. And then after a while, I kind of realized that wasn't what it was about. And I almost kind of gave up on music when music actually started paying the bills. I just gave up on that lifestyle, kind of stopped drinking for a little while, broke up with the band. But then I started like playing guitar and it was very meditative. And over time, it's like, it's crazy that, you just, I think it's an innate thing sometimes being a musician and it just started paying the bills. And it's not so much about writing the hit or getting a viral video, although you still strive for it. You just got to find a way to keep, having it in your life and being able
Right.
like I need it, just kind of, I hate to say I need something, but I feel like it's something that's already in me. And it's nice having shows to like work on a song or try a
Hmm.
guitar part or connect with people because that's something that I am not good at. But when you get on stage, suddenly you're connecting with a whole room. And so far, we're like the middle class musician, which is able to thrive this day and age and pay the mortgage, through our dreams. So as cheesy as it sounds, it's all I hope for. And then everything else is just kind of like icing.
Because it's a really different industry today than it was back when, like like Blake said, 1991 when Wayne's World was a big
Mm.
movie. It's really so different nowadays. But I mean, vinyl's making a comeback, which I hope the young generation discovers the joy of, you know, sifting through a bunch of records in a record
Mm.
store like Back Alley here in Charlottetown or some of the
I
stores where
I
you
think it
guys
is.
are.
I don't even think vinyl's making a comeback. I think vinyl's back. I think it's here. There's
Yeah,
no more comeback. It's kind of cemented. It's in the last like 4 or 5 years. I mean, I think it's outperformed every other medium of music consumption that's out there. And like I'm not there all the time, but there's we live in Lower Sackville and in Bedford, the next town, which is 5 minutes down the road. There's a little store called Select Sounds, and then
right.
maybe 2 minutes past that, we have three Taz's in Nova Scotia, and one of them's in Bedford. And once a month or so, I'm in those places digging through some crates, and man, I see all ages come in there. You know what I've seen several times. I see like what looks to be a father and a son, or a father and a daughter,
Yeah,
or a mother and a son in there rooting through records together.
Both
So
our kids have their own
yeah, yeah,
artists
yeah,
now.
yeah.
So
My
cute. And they're like
oldest 11.
sitting there checking out the artwork. And
yeah.
it's reminding me of like my first time.
Well,
Yeah, I think it's
I still have this.
yeah, there you go. That's a classic,
Oh,
man.
is
I
that like a cassette player?
Yeah,
Yeah,
that's
I
a
still listen to tapes.
Walkman.
Oh, okay.
I still listen to tapes today for you young kids who don't know what tapes are. Maybe remember
Awesome. That
mixtape?
wonderful sound, that little that's a welcome sound of my childhood. That brings me
I
back.
used to make albums on cassette tapes, like record them, and
Yeah,
just like I'd have like my new album, and then my babysitter would come over, and I'd be like, "Do you guys want to hear my new album?" And they'd have like an entire song after song, but I wasn't strong enough to like write the music for every song, so I would just have like this
right.
just like beat on my keyboard that I would play, and I would sing over it. And yeah, I wish I could find those because they would be hilarious now.
I was just thinking about the last time I saw Rush in Toronto. I was expecting it to be like a big, roughneck crowd, but you know what it was? It was people my age with their sons.
Oh yeah.
Because their kids play music and they respected Rush's musicians and they like go, you guys got to see this band and the kids are blown away by it. I was like, wow, that's pretty cool actually.
You
Um,
probably see similar things at like a Megadeth concert and stuff.
yeah,
People that have grown up and if they're still alive, they probably settled down and had kids and yeah.
yeah, the country concerts are rowdy now. Not like that's
Yeah.
where the young kids are going
Yeah.
nowadays. The rock concerts are tame compared to what they used to be back in the
Yeah.
70s and 80s, right? So what can we expect from you guys at Got Blues this week? What are you gonna bring there?
I'll be playing some tunes off of the records. We always play a couple of those, but we'll be throwing in some covers. I mean, we tend not to do the typical blues standards, but we always have a couple of fairly well-known tunes
Right.
up our sleeve.
Jammy ones that everybody can kind of like not work too hard to, you know, just having some fun and some solos and let some synergies and magic happen.
I'm looking forward to it. I'm hoping to get there early enough on Saturday to get a seat, or even if I don't care. Standing room's even better. Just because the buzz in that room on a Saturday afternoon is just incredible. Like I haven't seen live music like that since. Well, I mean, when I was in Ontario, I used to go to the South Side Shuffle put on by Chuck Jackson from Downchild,
Okay.
who knew Kim. Apparently, Kim spent a lot of time in Ontario, so she used
Yeah,
to
yeah.
go there quite a bit. So, um, yeah. So, I mean, I haven't seen a buzz like that in a long time. It's great to see that here in the Maritimes and in PEI for that matter, just to see
Mm.
such a thriving music community here on the island too. Like it's just
You need
intense.
it. You need some kind of like person organizing that. And Chris does a great job. And just yeah, finding that because there are people that like get moved and feel inspired, and it's hard to start. And it's like just being a musician, you are always throwing a party and like hoping that people come to your party.
Yeah.
It's not an easy biz, so it's cool just to like know that there are those communities out there, and then you revisit them and you see familiar faces and warm welcomes, and it's nice.
It's cool for you. The thing that I like about the Got Blues thing is, uh, in Halifax, Barely's, that jam doesn't start happening until like 8:30 on a Sunday. So in most cases,
Yeah.
there's no, like, I started going there underage and I had to get all kinds of paperwork filled out, and it was a huge pain in the ass to do, but it was worth it. But it was definitely some hoops to jump through to go. Whereas
Sure.
like Got Blues, if you're 16 years old and you've been, sitting at the edge of your bed and practicing all your blues licks for, the last 6 months, you have a place to go try that out. And if you got the cojones and to sit in with the band, you can get in there and do that. And to me, that's paramount because like
That's
that
a
just
great
didn't
point.
it didn't
Getting because
exist when I was
that's
where I
how
came
Right.
you
from.
figure it out. That's how you get your stage feet. And I was so shy for so long and didn't know how to like get in there. And eventually it was like open mics. But I mean that didn't really enable me to like play electric guitar, and I didn't have
Yeah.
as much experience jamming with bands like Blake, which is worth its weight in gold. And I regret that. I wish I'd found better ways to just play music with other people and learn from them and like go on the fly, which we do a little bit more now. But yeah, like that's exactly like what you just said. It just helps identify some cool players around town and help them kind of sharpen their tools a little bit. And yeah.
Yeah, it's a very relaxed atmosphere too in that
Mm,
department too. And I like the way they just do there's no real ticket price. It's just they pass the hat around and you throw in what you can and have a
mm.
Mm.
good time in the afternoon. It's just an incredible vibe. And if anyone's out there in the Charlottetown area on Saturday, I highly recommend trying to pop by and to see you guys because I think they'll be blown away by what you guys do. Like
Thank you.
it's just incredible. I can't wait to go. I can't thank you guys enough for taking the time to join me. I know we've been trying to get this going for a while, and I'm glad we finally got a chance to sit down and chat. Um, and yeah, I hope you guys come back here as much as you possibly can this summer. to,
Yeah, well,
uh,
I mean, just to let people know too, like Campbell and Johnston with a T, Campbell and Johnston music.com is the website. And like we're
yep,
super social on Facebook and Instagram. We've even been doing TikTok now, and YouTube we're catching up. But Facebook and Instagram, where like we post a lot of gigs. Some of them aren't always public, but people will like message us. Like we have a house concert the Friday too, in case, if there's a couple people that we know that may want to go to that. But you can always check in and be like, hey, are you gigging here or doing this? Or like sometimes we get questions about guitar or licks or songs that we did. And we're always happy to kind of check in with people and have them check out the new music and give some feedback.
yeah, I'll
So
share
yeah,
that.
check out the website.
That's gonna be in the description on this YouTube video. So if anyone's looking down below, please click on the links I post, which I will do. And I'll do my best to promote everything you guys do because if you guys, and when you guys come back here, I'm sure you will at some point this summer, I will drag as many people as I can to come see you and discover what I
Awesome.
I mean,
discovered.
Oh, we will be at the trail side too in the fall, but it's not announced yet, so I can't say for sure when, right?
yeah, but
Well, I can't say the exact date, I guess, but we will be there in the fall. So
And if the
keep
Somo
a
Fest
lookout.
organizers are listening, please get these guys in there. Uh, you will be totally blown away. Like, I love discovering new music and discovering you guys was on that list. Andre Pettipa and the Giants blew me away when I discovered them this summer at Somo Fest. Like it's just there's so much talent out here. Just if you go looking for it, you'll hear
Yeah,
some
they're
really
great.
good music. But
mm,
Great
thanks
guys
again.
too.
Oh,
thank you.
absolutely. Oh,
Thank you.
thank you. Oh, no problem. I'm not doing this for money. I do this for fun. And I have more fun discovering new acts and meeting them and stuff like that, as well as the established ones that I've interviewed over the past year and a half. So, but I can't thank you guys enough for taking the time out to join me and getting up. Well, I guess it's not really that early, I guess, but
It's pretty early, but it's easy chat, so appreciate that.
no worries. Thanks for chatting, guys, and I look forward to seeing you this weekend. Take care.
Awesome. You too, dude.
All right.
See ya.
Cheers.